Welcome to Best Way to Divorce TV and live stream. I've got a guest today who isn't specifically dealing with divorce every day, but it does touch the lives of the business owners that she works with. So I'm going to introduce you to Sarah Hamilton-Gill, and Sarah is the managing director of Globus HR Consulting Limited, and we're going to be talking in particular about the supporting of business owners and their employees as well, if they're larger businesses, around the area of family separation and divorce, but well-being generally. So welcome, Sarah. Thank you so much. And to start with, I just wanted to start with you saying a little bit about the work that you do. And HR can be many, many things to many people. So what's your specific role, and who are the companies and business owners that you help?
So my time in HR has been kind of over 3 decades. So I've worked with a whole variety of different organisations, both in-house and as a consultant. So a variety of businesses, from startups all the way up to very large corporates. And so my focus at the moment is supporting business owners, whether it's a startup or whether they're growing and they're kind of scaling up their businesses. And they all have very similar problems when it comes to people.
Absolutely, and one of those is wellness is too broad a term, isn't it? So mental health obviously is something that people are talking about a lot, but that can be triggered and put under threat by many, many different life situations. In particular, because you're working with businesses, some who are expanding, so they're taking on teams, but also you've got the business owners themselves. So perhaps talk a little about why the well-being of the business owner and the employees is significant when you're trying to not just run a business but expand and grow it.
Well, I think particularly in the UK, we get criticised for our productivity levels in terms of how businesses are operating. And, even if you just take a very clinical view of this, if you're a business owner, you're growing your business, you need your business to be profitable and therefore productive. And people, this whole cliche of people are your greatest asset, they certainly are. So you can't just say what happens outside of work isn't going to impact what happens when they get to work. And certainly, it's a holistic approach to how somebody can operate within the work environment. And it's really important that as business owners, we take that seriously.
And it's not just about being compassionate and kind and nice, is it? It's the bottom line we're talking about here.
I think it's both. It's being compassionate and being authentic about it, not just a tick box exercise. But people, certainly in the last 3 to 4 years since the pandemic and during the pandemic, people have become much more aware of how important it is to retain they're good people and even to attract good people. So it's not okay to have the old traditional ways of saying, well, leave your work, your home problems at your front door, and then when you come to work, that's it, you're focused on work. It doesn't work like that anymore. People expect to have much more support from their employers nowadays.
And I remember being told quite a few years ago, when I first realised that sort of family separation, co-parenting had a real impact on the workplace and on business owners. I was told by I think they're Brighton-based law firm that they had their bill paid, the divorce bill paid, for by the employer of their client.
Wow.
Who just wanted them to kind of get sorted, get back to work. And that was, I think, the sort of turning point for me when I thought, wow, this is something that's really happening, and it's not something perhaps people talk about enough. So this can affect the other thing that really struck me with it, because at the time, me being me, was I was thinking, God, how much money could that company have saved if their employee hadn't gone to that particular lawyer and had in fact used dispute resolution. So as we say, for me the more peaceful, healthier ways that these things are done is also going to affect the bottom line of the company, even if they're not planning on paying for it for their employees. Yeah. So in your experience, particularly with business owners themselves who may not yet have many employees, but they're trying to manage their life situations. In what ways have you seen that they can impact on them, and do you in what ways can you help? Have you found yourself supporting your clients in these situations?
I think some of the smaller businesses, owner managed businesses where there's a small number of people, in essence, they probably know each other's backgrounds, they know their family lives a lot better than some of the larger businesses. So the camaraderie and the support in micro businesses is a lot better than it is probably in some of the large corporates. And there's a general understanding, particularly if you are an owner. I've been a business owner for over 30 years now. If your staff aren't happy, they're not going to be productive. They're not going to be concentrating. They're not going to be at work. They're not going to give their best quality work either. So I think certainly in micro businesses, it's about really understanding, having really good communication with your staff, knowing what's going on in their lives, and supporting as and when needed. It doesn't necessarily need a policy. It just needs to have a really good level of communication. And as the organisations grow larger, then I would think there needs to be some more consistency around how you might handle things like requests for flexible working, or time off to go to court cases, or maybe financial advice as well in terms of what's happening through that divorce process.
Absolutely. So I say certainly with the larger companies, that's why I created a policy template for them to kind of checklist, if you like, of all the different areas that they might not have thought through fully. But what I wanted to sort of suggest really is that with these life situations, we say, oh well, it affects people in the workplace, but do you think that there is an issue around the fact that particularly in larger companies, by the time they go and tell HR, the time they speak about it openly and all that lovely communication, actually things have quite often got really, really, really bad. Do you think there is a place for employees and business owners to be able to access resources and support without having to tell anybody?
I think a confidential service or support is going to be absolutely vital. I mean, not everybody is of the personality where they want to bring their home life into work. So if they can take separate advice that supports them through that, then I think that's a hugely valuable service that they could get, definitely.
And with to sort of finally, what's your, you've had many years of experience, sort of overall, what's the kind of advice that you would give to businesses who might be still thinking, oh, how could Sarah help me?
Well, I think this comes down to, there's a lot of policy rewriting going on at the moment in any case. But I think it's looking at things like, for example, flexible working. There's also, they might have outsourced services like yourself, in terms of the services that you offer. Broader, and I think this has cropped up out of the cost of living crisis that we're in currently in the UK, where maybe the organisations it would be really valuable if they gave some financial support or training for people, not just going through divorce, all sorts of life-changing scenarios that go on. So I think taking a holistic view, and I think traditionally learning and development or self-development in the corporate environment has been very focused on, what are the skills and things that I need to learn to do a better job. And I think there's a lot of life skills that actually are coming up to the kind of the bubbling up in terms of what's really important. Financial well-being is really important. Actually taking care of yourself is really important, particularly after, and we've still got things rumbling on with COVID. So I think a much more holistic view in terms of how do we support and get the best from our people, because that's what we want them to be. We want them to be at their best, not just for work, but for them as individuals.
That's a great way to end. Thank you so much, Sarah, for your time. And I'll be
It's a
sending you the
pleasure.
links. And yeah, pop any extra information you think people should access onto the videos when I send you the links. Bye for now.
Yeah, no problem.